From digital address GA09939925, this is The Pulse. Almost 2 hours of comprehensive analysis of all the developing issues for the day. Coming up this afternoon, the long-awaited premiering of the controversial Tiger IPI documentary, revealing how some top guns in Ghana's football industry allegedly received bribes to influence matches kick-starts at the Accra International Conference Center. We're live at the venue as members of parliament express how they want the latest documentary to revolutionize the Ghana's football industry.
People asking me, is it possible that Ghana didn't qualify for World Cup simply because some people sold the matches?
Was there any proof on there that he had actually taken sums of money with the intent of advancing it to the president? No such proof is in the tape.
Also on Joy News agenda today, focusing on floods, we are at Ofanko Barrier, where a major catastrophe looms as residents and commuters blame the sighting of a filling station at the interchange for heavy floods there.
Serious saying first na a flooding.
First na nke filling station no na ka down one of the station na got to be do the filling station be no got na kasi.
Also on The Pulse this afternoon, we'll tell you the story of two determined pupils whose disabilities have not deterred them from participating in the ongoing BECE. This is where to stay. It's on The Pulse right here, right now on the Joy News channel. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. My pleasure to be your host. So it's just minutes to what many call Judgment Day for the Ghana Football Association. It's a premiering of the investigative piece by Anas Arimayao Anas detailing alleged corruption involving almost everybody, including the boss, Kwesi Nyantakyi, and other top officials within Ghana football. We'll take you live there, but this afternoon, fallout of the investigations into the scandal continues to get reactions. A minority in parliament have waded in and are demanding dismissal of the CID boss for her handling of the investigations. We have an interview with the minority chief whip on this, plus attempts by MPs to hold their colleague Kennedy Japan before the Privileges Committee for bringing the name of parliament into disrepute. Right now, though, let's look at the build-up to the screening of that documentary by Anas Arimayao Anas. NS Meno is there for us. Right, so we'll be going live to the Accra International Conference Center to hear what's going on, because the first premiering starts at 3 p.m. today. Now, but let's go to Parliament, where the minority have been raising concerns and they're pushing for the CID boss, Tiwa Adodankwa, to resign.
It is shocking that a witness statement, a headquarters, not at the district or in a small police station, can leak to the media. It shows gross incompetence. And in a well-established democracy, I don't think the director CID needs to wait for someone to tell her to resign and go, because she has failed to keep the public trust, and she doesn't deserve to be there. She just have to go. She just have to resign. And I will encourage the Committee of Parliament, that's the Interior and Defense Committee, to summon the Minister of Interior and the Police Administration to answer how this has happened. But the head, who is the head, she has failed grossly the trust imposed by the public in the Police Administration, and for that particular, the CID, she has failed completely, and she doesn't deserve to keep that office. I mean, because if I were her, I would have quit the moment I saw that thing out, because how is it that the Criminal Investigations Department, that is supposed to be our top-notch part of the police investigative body, that is supposed to be able to gather intelligence, that's supposed to even keep secret information, confidential information, now finds a statement, not people like paraphrasing it, but the actual sheet with the handwriting. That is ridiculous.
But the journalists who got it out there are also doing their jobs. They probably went hunting for it. Not exactly that. Maybe the police CID boss deliberately leaked it out to them.
I don't dispute it. So what measures has she put in place so that if I want something there that is not legitimate, that I'm not entitled to get, how will I be able to get it? What measures has she been able to put there to prevent such a thing from happening? And for her being the head, she will have failed the institution, having failed to protect its documents from being snatched or being, what do you call it, photocopied, or being snapped, or being intercepted, or whatever terms that you want to use that the journalists may use. That is a complete failure of the police administration.
But just to be clear, it's your suspicion that she may probably have had a role in how this got leaked eventually, or that she's probably incompetent at her job?
My worry is that the competence. She's grossly incompetent. That such important document, they cannot find a way of keeping it. A simple statement, that's just maybe 2-3 sheets. It has to be intercepted by a journalist. That means the police administration has failed its work, and for that matter, the CID. And therefore, she, being the head of that institution, should bow her head in shame and quit, because she's not fit to sit there as the director for CID.
So you mentioned that the committee level, you would urge them to get the Interior Minister in to push this.
Yes.
How far are you ready to, push Parliament, for example, to get her off? She's an appointee of the president.
Yes, I know. But
not exactly an appointee of the president, but she's mainly accountable to the executive.
She's an appointee of the president because she's the director of CID, and believe me, the presidency has a lot of hand as to who becomes who in the police hierarchy. And I can tell you that she has failed the state. I am going to make sure that the Committee on Interior, Defense and Interior summon them. If they fail to do that, I will file a question. If that doesn't get done, obviously, I'll bring a motion. Because, look, this is a gross failure, and we should not treat it lightly. I mean, today, we can all be looking at it in a very light way, but think of it, that a top secret of this country, that the CID maybe investigate and found, can easily drop for somebody to pick or intercept. It's serious. I mean, we should take it professionally. This should never be done.
Is this the one of concern about how she does her job, or you have other issues with how she's done things?
For me, this is the crux of it, because a number of times you hear. I mean, I remember very well that during the time for the double salary issues, people go there, and the next day the matter is the Daily Guide. How do they get the information? But all along, I always thought that, they are conjecturing, or maybe they are just paraphrasing, or maybe somebody who easily just give them a whisk drop or something. But now I'm convinced that there's gross failure of keeping confidentiality of documents there. And she has the place. And I put the blame right on her doorsteps.
Is this probably an opportunity to pay her back, over how she's handled the issue with your minority colleagues?
No, it has nothing to do with that. I'm only making reference that consistently, issue that goes to the police CID gets reported into the media. And my thinking, I've always thought that, they are just conjecturing, they are just assuming. But now that a sheet that the statement is written on could be intercepted, it makes me believe that all along the things that have been reported is simply a leak from her outfit, meaning that her outfit has not been able to put the necessary measures to protect whatever document and information that they have there. And once she sits and supervises all these things happening, she doesn't fit to be there.
Well, the MPs are also unhappy about comments made by their colleague Kennedy Japan and want to get him to face disciplinary action.
Our standing orders is so tight, sometimes so difficult for you to be able to nail an MP not as easy as you may nail an outsider, because if you look at the standard, it's talking about if you do this to a parliamentarian, it's contempt. If you do that, if you do that, if you do that. But now, I mean, he has a video that he sat in his own network calling Parliament foolish in Twi. We can't sit and allow a member of Parliament to do that. He has crossed the line. I am going to raise it. He must be referred to the privileges. He must be brought to book. A member of Parliament cannot just go doing the things that he's doing, saying all the things that, with that regards to the position that he occupies. I mean, calling Parliament this useless place, 11,000, I can tell him, if not he being a member of Parliament, I have no doubt in my mind, he wouldn't be where he is. Who would have known him? For him to say the things that he's saying, I think that Kenneth Japan, Honorable Ken, has really crossed the line. And we need, as a House, to take measures to ensure that this kind of behavior, not of only him, but all of us as members of Parliament, are put to check. Because you see, you cannot just go on attacking members of the public. When they do to us, we are quick to say, hey, we are parliamentarians, they are bringing the dignity of the House into complete disrepute. It's an affront to the dignity of the House. When our actions and inactions also do the same, and I'm going to raise this on the floor of the
yes, so that's what I was asking. That
he is
what action do you intend?
Okay. Definitely, I'm going to raise, because I now have a copy of the video. I'm sure to Speaker, because to make any statement on the floor, you need to review it to Mr. Speaker. The leadership will look at it. Then I'm sure I'll get the opportunity to raise on the floor. Then it will be debated. I'm very optimistic that the majority of the right-thinking members of Parliament believe that he's doing a lot of harm to us as members of Parliament and to this House, and he must be stopped.
So, what would be asking of the Privileges Committee, for example, if you recommend that he's taking he be expelled as an MP, probably?
I mean, the rules are clear. One of the first things that he could be made to apologize for all his excesses, his utterances, I mean, calling Parliament, I mean, foolish, to call what we are doing here foolish, and to be insulting on what do you call it, general members of the public without any provocation to him as a person. We have the right to say, to freely speak, but not to insult the persons of individual and to insult the whole institution. I'm going to ask that he should be made to withdraw, apologize, and be refrained from such excesses, utterances. If he fails, I mean, the rules are very clear. If he fails to withdraw, he could be suspended for the rest of this session, and the session is up to December, where he will lose his salary and all his privileges. Already he said that is nothing. He will lose all his privileges and all that. If he goes beyond that, like the standing order says, it could get to the point of him being expelled from the House. And that's what I'll be calling for.
Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo now joins me on phone with more. Good afternoon to you, Joseph. We've just heard from the minority chief whip. It's just one person. What are the other MPs saying? Hello, Opoku-Gakpo. If you can hear me, I'm saying that what are you gathering from the other members of Parliament?
Well, Aisha, this is something that any moment from now, we are expecting that it will be raised on the floor by Muntaka Mubarak, who is the minority chief whip. A few things we've gathered is that he's gotten hold of this video. He's made it available at the level of leadership, and they've seen it, pointing to the concerns having to do with Kennedy Japan, the MP for Central, and the allegations that some of his comments are comments that disparage Parliament and create a negative impression of the House. So that clearance, if I could put it so, has already been given at the level of the leadership of Parliament, and he's expected to bring up the issue on the floor of Parliament and request that the House generally support him to refer Kennedy Japan to the Privileges Committee. You would know that the specific video that he's trying to draw the House attention to is something that involves the majority leader, or say Chairman Sabonsu directly, and this was more like an attack, as he claimed, on the majority leader, which he says was actually in practice. And so Muntaka Mubarak is expecting that he will receive support from even those on the majority side when it comes to him pushing through the request that can upon be referred to the Privileges Committee. We'll wait to see how the debate would shape up on the floor of the House once he raises the issue. But the House is still sitting. They are debating an issue having to do with the energy sector levy, which came into force in the year 2016, and how the amount that have accrued over the last 3 years have been spent. Once they are done with that, we are expecting that the House will be dealing with the Right to Information Bill, when we are expecting a report on that from the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, and the consent that Muntaka Mubarak has with Kennedy upon alleged misconduct will then come up, as we are expecting, from Muntaka Mubarak.
Let's stay a bit longer on this investigative piece that has raised all of this controversy, because we know that members of parliament really want this documentary to transform the Ghana Football Association. Exactly what do they want?
They think that previously we've seen situations of investigations that have been conducted by Anas Aremeyaw and Anas yielding positive results. In terms of the judiciary, for example, where they saw situations of some of the judges being removed. I've spoken to some of the MPs, Kwame Abuja, who is the MP for Adaklu, for example, say the situation that came up could have been a contributory factor to how come Ghana struggled to qualify for the World Cup. And it's something that the allegations of corruption and referees taking bribe and all, and something having to do with even those at the very leadership, including the GFA president, Kwesi Nyantakyi, is something that has affected and negatively impacted Ghana football. So one of the calls Kwame Abuja is making, for example, is that the GFA be dissolved. And he thinks that putting out the documentary and the allegations of corruption that come with it and the evidence of it could then be a basis to then push through far-reaching reforms, including probably dissolving the Ghana Football Association, which is something he's expecting the president to do. I've been speaking to those on the majority side as well. The Member of Parliament for Second D, Andrew Dapamesa, for example, makes the point that he thinks there's been an effort to virtually cloud up the concerns having to do with corruption in football and extending it to the level of the executive and the president. And he makes a categorical statement that he thinks the revelations in the documentary would show that these allegations of corruption are virtually limited to a large extent to the Ghana Football Association, and that it won't in the end be stuck to the presidency in any way. So they hope that the necessary cleanup at the level of the Ghana Football Association would be rolled out once all the evidence of alleged corruption are seen.
Right, many thanks to you for the update. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our parliamentary correspondent. Let's now listen to members of parliament on the investigative piece now premiering at the Accra International Conference Center.
My expectations will not be different from that of Ghanaians, that we want to see what actually Anas has for us. We'll be talking about the rot in the system, especially with the Ghana Football Authority. And it will gladden our hearts to know the rot there and see how best we can correct that, and then we can move forward. Yeah, so my expectations are high. We want the truth to come out. Then those who are capable should be brought to book so that the way can be clear for others.
Something is taking a political twist which is completely out of place, particularly when the names of the president and the former president came up, and all of a sudden every party member is fighting for his man. Eventually we won't see the main issue of corruption being dealt with. Do you agree?
Well, for now, we have not seen the details. So these are only speculations. Let the details come out this evening. Then we'll know who and who are involved. Then from there, then we can pass our judgment.
Do you have confidence in the state institution that whatever the outcome will be and the details will be, we'll get to the bottom of this and ensure applied sanctions are meted out to those who deserve?
Well, I have always had confidence in the state agencies, especially the security agencies are concerned. So if we have the political will and we allow them to perform, they can prosecute their mandate and bring those people to book for posterity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the video will settle for good what speculations are in the public domain as to who is on the video and what the person said and all other things. I think the video will settle that one for us. But then there will be the second part, which is to digest what's on the video. What's the impact of that on Ghana football? What's the impact of that on the fight against corruption? So those will be the debate beyond viewing the clip today.
What actions would you expect from state officials after we see all this?
Well, the difficulty is that for the first time, the video, we are told, will talk about how individuals have sought to implicate the highest office of the land, the vice president and other things. So I hope this would not create any situation where government would drag their feet. In the past, when it was done with regards to the judges, indeed, the Chief Justice and other Judicial Council took some steps, and some people were sanctioned out of that. When it happened with a spirit child, we know some people were punished. When they went to the port with the custom officials, I know some people were punished. So minimum, we expect that some people will be sanctioned, and definitely GFA and some officials at GFA would have to be punished.
You want the GFA dissolved?
I want GFA dissolved because, you see, this is about credibility. Since yesterday, I've had people asking me, is it possible that Ghana didn't qualify for World Cup simply because some people stole the matches? How do I answer that question? Because people are beginning to question the credibility of even the results we get. So the best thing to do, and I will encourage government, dissolve GFA.
FIFA Urbana.
Yes, FIFA Urbana's 1 year, 2 years. Nigeria did it. Today, Nigeria is back to the World Cup. Today, if Black Star loses a match, nobody knows whether somebody went to sell the match. And we believe that when the president carries out the needful, go into GFA, investigate them. If there's any evidence, punish people. If FIFA bans us, they can't ban forever. Eventually, we'll be back, and we'll be back with a GFA that the people can trust. That if we even lose a match, people will believe that we lost the match genuinely. But currently, people don't even believe whether we lose matches genuinely or not. Yeah.
MP for second day. Any expectations?
You make it sound like my surname is Ejapa. My surname is Mesa. Well, I am very much indifferent about the outcome of tonight's airing of the documentary. Of course, he's done his job. He's going to premiere it today. My indifference stems from the fact that I'm not in any way related to football. I don't participate in any football administration, and my understanding is that this is essentially a tape that borders on some misconduct in the football industry. And so to that extent...
You've seen the political linkage to the extent of the presidency.
Well, the attempt for me to link the president to it clearly will not stand. Because if you listen, and I've listened to people who have watched segments of the tape, Mr. Nyantechi, whom I know quite well because I've worked with him, First Atlantic, for 7 years, made some statements. And the statements were to the effect that if it's conditional, you give me whatever amount, I'm going to be able to give to certain individuals, including the president, to enable you facilitate your business in Ghana. Was there any proof on there that he had actually taken sums of money with the intent of advancing it to the president? No such proof is in the tape. So if somebody is speaking, whatever his intent may be, you and I are not in a position to tell, and then goes ahead to say that I can do A, B, C, D, E, that necessarily links the president to him. Doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, what else do you expect? Any attempt by the NDC to tag His Excellency the President corrupt is what their modus is. That's what they have set out to do. And so, regardless of how illogical the conclusions may be, that's what they want to draw. But the good people of Ghana will watch it and will draw their own conclusions as to whether, and in my estimation, Kwesi possibly was speaking loosely. It's unfortunate he had to make those kinds of utterances, but I cannot for the life of me ever imagine